Alright, I think we're live. I'm not entirely sure. We'll wait on a few people to jump in here. Yeah, I'm 23 minutes late, and that's because I couldn't exactly figure out the live streaming app. I had the stream scheduled, but I couldn't figure out how to get to it from my phone. And I'm getting a spinny wheel. I don't know if that's working, not, maybe. I'm not sure. This app, I don't know. Okay, it says we have one viewer. If you could, like, give me a like or something. That way I know I'm actually streaming. Oh, nope. They went away. Well, I'm not entirely sure if this is working or not. So, I'm just going to wing it. And we're going to walk around and look at some plants. This past weekend, we had our annual spring color tour. And, well, it hasn't been annual for the last couple of years because of obvious reasons. So, because of, obvious reasons still going on, we had to cap the attendance. So, I thought this week we would do a virtual spring color tour to kind of show you what's happening here in the greenhouse and give folks an opportunity to ask questions and well, just see kind of what's happening here behind the scenes at the greenhouse. And right now where I'm standing, I am completely surrounded by hanging baskets. Over my head we have geranium hanging baskets, and these are on a watering system that acts kind of like a chairlift. They're riding on a cable up in the ceiling, and you can kind of see the hooks right there. And whenever we need to water them, we kick this system on, and they kind of run down to the end of the bay, and then back down to the other end. On the floor around me right now, we have new Guinea Impatiens. So let me grab the tripod and flip the camera around. We can do that right now, which we've got part of the watering system in the way. The new Guinea Impatiens, they like to be watered at the base of the plant. So we actually have drip tubing that waters them. But overhead we have these watering booms, and they run on a track in the ceiling, and they can go down through and water crops like the begonias that we have down here at the end of the bay. So this year we'll grow right around 150,000 hanging baskets. So this is just a very small portion of the hanging baskets. You can see some of our ferns over there. And down here at this end, we have begonias that are blooming. Had we been in this area of the greenhouse just a matter of a week ago, or well, a couple weeks ago, this section was full of seedling plugs. So this time of year, we're going through kind of a huge transition in the greenhouse from seedlings over to finished product like you would find at a garden center. And with the sun setting right now, we are getting just some gorgeous color like that purple New Guinea right there. Wow. These are all 32 count flats of begonias, and these are great if you have like a flower bed that you need to fill in your landscape. They're a little bit smaller plants starting off, but they fill in really nicely throughout the summer. And down there we have some white and red begonias. This entire bay right here on this side is all herbs for the kitchen. And we actually have our own herb line. I see a random tomato plant right there that snuck in. That's kind of funny. Which, it works, I guess, because we got random tomato there, basil right here. But, oh, let me grab a tag here. We have our own herb line that is called Karina's Kitchen. And it's named after one of the founders of our company. Of course, we're Bob's Market. But Bob's wife, Karina, she was also one of the founders of the company. So we have Karina's Kitchen. So if you've ever wondered on our website why our recipe section is called Karina's Kitchen, there you go. And if you've never visited our website, I recommend you head over to bobsmarket.com. There we have recipes, and we also do weekly blog posts where we cover gardening. And we have things like this. So these are seedlings, and I'm going to flip the camera around here so I can talk about them. So if we'd have been out here in the greenhouse, say a month ago, we would have seen just thousands of these trays out in the greenhouse. These are seedling plug trays. And this is actually one of the larger size plugs that we grow. This is called a 144, so it has 144 seedlings in it. The most common size that we grow is a 288, so it's the same dimensions, but it has 288 seedlings. And then we also grow one called a 512 that has 512 seedlings per cell. But if I'm really careful here, I could pop out one of the plugs. And this is actually coneflower, so this is a perennial in our area. And coneflowers are really awesome because they help support pollinators. So if you want something that's a perennial in your landscape that does a great job of helping the wildlife in your garden, coneflowers are a great start. But with a seedling plug, every plant basically gets its own little ball of soil. And what that does is it helps eliminate transplant shock. So whenever we transplant these, where the root ball doesn't get disturbed that much, it means that we get a stronger plant later on. Let me set that down. So I said, you know, a month or so ago would have been thousands of plug trays. Each year we grow around 150 million individual little plugs of plants, which that puts us in the top 10 young seedling growers in the US. And let me grab the camera here. We'll flip back around and we'll head over this way. So this bay is kind of empty. Along the sides we do have ferns. The ferns, they're just kind of happy hanging out wherever in the greenhouse, so we hang them in between the bays, and they have little drip tubes that water them. And there goes some hanging baskets that are shipping out. So to move stuff around the greenhouse, we have carts like that, and the little buggies that pull them, they're electric, so they're all battery powered. Over on this side of the greenhouse, we have 4.5-inch pots, and then there's also more New Guinea hanging baskets back there. But right over there we can see some beautiful, actually 4.5-inch New Guineas that are starting to bloom. Right here we have some really pretty this, oh, I gotta knock the dirt off the tag. But this is Lobularia, and this is a variety called Snow Princess. And it just creates these beautiful white mounds in your landscape. And then in the rest of this area right here we have Calibrachoas. And let's see what this variety is called. This is a variety called Coral Sun. And you'll see on there that it says Super Bells. I said Calibrachoa because that's the kind of the scientific name for it. But kind of the common name is Million Bells. Here's another really awesome variety. Yeah, this one, appropriately named. It is Super Bells Holy Moly. And holy moly, look at that bloom. And just like on the other side of the greenhouse, over here we have more New Guinea Impatiens. And these New Guineas, they're a little bit later crop. So over on the other side, it had a lot more bloom in it. With these, the blooms are just starting to come out. But we've already got some gorgeous blooms. I mean, look at that one. There's my hand for scale. I'm trying not to bump the tripod that much. In this bay right here, we have 4.5-inch Coleus pots, which Coleus are grown mainly for their foliage. They do get some blooms later in the summertime, but usually those blooms you want to kind of pinch off, and that encourages them to branch out and kind of get fuller if you pinch the blooms. But I mean, with foliage like that, why would you really need the blooms? Now those are beautiful. So we'll head back this way. This end of the greenhouse is kind of in transition. So we're transitioning from plug growing over to growing finished product. So back at the beginning of the tour, we saw some begonias that were really starting to bloom. These are some begonias that have just been transplanted. So these probably in the last week or so have been transplanted. Overhead right here, we have some beautiful hanging baskets. I'm going to pick the tripod up so you can see that. Which some of these have shipped out. That's the great thing about this watering system. Is it's designed so if it doesn't sense the weight of a basket, it won't water that hook. And now back here, we're back into more seedling plugs. Right here is a system that is completely full. Those are just gorgeous. Oh, back here's something really cool. Always get kind of excited walking around back here because you find awesome stuff like this. These are canna lily seedlings. So canna lilies, you think of a bulb that you need to dig up and bring in the wintertime to overwinter. Well, we actually grow them from seed, and they come in as a big seed that we have to soak, and then these all get sown by hand because the seeds are too big to go through our machinery that we use to sow seeds. And here we have, this is Alyssum. So it's kind of, if you had to describe the blooms, it's kind of similar to Lobularia. It's just, it stays a little bit closer to the ground and it produces a lot more blooms. So right there is kind of what it looks like. And right next to it we have Portulaca. And this is actually labeled, some of it, for our own production. So these orange tags right here are for our own production. So those will end up in our stores. But this, that's what it looks like when it blooms. So kind of the common name is rose moss, or has a few different names. Alright, so back in this section of the greenhouse, we mainly have seedling plugs. But we've been kind of following begonias backwards. So we saw some that were blooming, then we saw some that were just transplanted, and right here in this bay we have Begonia Seedlings. So we've kind of followed them from a finished plant back to something that was just transplanted, and these are ones that are getting ready to be transplanted. And I'm looking for, I think they're all the way down at the opposite end down there. We have begonias that have just been sown. So that is a quick tour of what's happening here at Bob's and kind of a walkthrough of one of our larger greenhouses here. We have about 30 acres under roof, and this greenhouse is one of our largest greenhouses. It's actually two greenhouses connected together. We just walked through a little connector into this section. But if you want to find out more about Bob's Market, head over to our website at bobsmarket.com. We also have a weekly live show, and that's what this is being posted on right now, and it's called Bob's Live. And you can find it over at bobsmarket.com/live. And normally we broadcast every Tuesday at 5 p.m. We wanted to do a little bit of something special, so I did this virtual tour where I was out walking around and streaming, and yeah, it kind of was a train wreck at the beginning, but hopefully once I figure out the streaming app that I'm using, we'll be able to do more stuff like this. So, well, that is it for our virtual spring color tour, and until next time, keep growing.